I have an idea for a friendship app, and I'd love some feedback.
Any type of business data that you're buying, regardless of who you're buying it from, it all comes from the same source, just branded under different names.
Virtual fitting room.
This is good use of AI.
Yes, finally. Hey, Gummy, welcome back.
How are you?
I'm good. Good, man. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, crazy world. Crazy world going out there. This right now, what's going on? Everything. It's crazy, man.
Weird. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I've been waiting. I've been holding off on this.
Okay, go ahead. I
Okay.
can't wait.
So I got into a discussion with a bunch of people the other day. They were trying to tell, the topic was how to start your own business. Like they wanted to start businesses in like inner city and help cultivate inner city businesses, right?
Okay.
All for it.
Yep.
And there's these two guys on there that say, oh, the first thing you have to do is file a DBA, because once you have your DBA, you can start getting business credit. And I'm like, that's not how that works.
What is business credit?
And they're like,
Oh,
yeah,
like a line of credit?
yeah, or
Like a bank?
no, so that any loans,
Yeah,
anything you
for
finance,
getting something through a bank. Right.
correct,
Yeah.
or a credit card,
Credit
any
card
of
or
that
whatever,
stuff,
okay.
it then becomes a business.
Yeah, DBA has nothing to do with that.
Oh, hold on.
Sorry, I'm jumping the gun.
So I kept telling them, and I'm like, just because you file a DBA doesn't mean you get any of the legal rights of a business. Like you don't get to accumulate business credit. You don't get any of the protections. You can't get business insurance. Like filing a DBA is just you doing business under your social, under your name. You're just notifying the state that you're also using another name.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling them that, in order to get any of the stuff, in order to start getting credit as a business, not as an individual, in order to be able to get any of the insurance or legal, go ahead, open it. Just pop it open.
Well,
There you go.
I don't interrupt.
No, it's okay. I'm going to interrupt people later too.
My
so-
lovely drink.
That's okay. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, guys, like that's not how this stuff works, right? And because there was two of them and one of me, people believed the two people that were like, oh, you can just file a DBA and start doing business and everything is good. And I'm like, no, you need more than that, right?
No.
And they're like, yeah, but it's so expensive to file an LLC.
What?
And I'm like, dude, you can go online and file it for free or like what, $75?
$125.
There you go.
Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, right? Yeah. I don't know where they are. But like filing a DBA is
so
what?
expensive.
But filing a DBA is what, like $50, $60?
$70.
Right. Okay, so it's twice the price, but it's not like it's 1,000 and 2,000, right? It's $100.
But even if it is $1,000, let's say you got to hire an attorney or whatever, you got to go through trademark search and things like that. It doesn't matter. You know what? It's worth its weight in gold having that security.
But even just filing a sole proprietor LLC, right? So
you're conflating two things, but sure,
yeah,
single member LLC.
Single member, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it's like. It drives me nuts when people are putting information like this out there. Mm-hmm. And then you have some poor Joe, right, that goes out and is like, hey, I'm going to start my lawn mowing business.
Yeah.
And because he heard these guys, he files a DBA, right? And he's like, oh, life is good. Now I go buy my first lawnmower and put it on my credit card. And oh, it's business credit, right? And then he goes out and he starts mowing the lawn. And then he runs over the poor owner's cat. And now shit hits the fan, right? Because he has no legal protection whatsoever. Now the owners are coming after him personally. Like, can you explain to people the difference between like LLC, DBA, S Corp? Like,
yes, I certainly can.
Because I really think, like, I'm hoping someone, the next time they get into this conversation and they really want to know, that they just go back to this episode and go, hey, just listen to the first 3 or 4 minutes of this episode.
It's going to take more than 3 or 4 minutes, but sure, I'm more than happy to.
Do the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, okay. All right. So, okay. You have to understand, if you're not an LLC or a corporation, a C Corp, then you are a non-protected entity, meaning you're either a sole proprietor, a general partnership, or something like that, right? Those are non-registered, non-protected entities. And what I mean by protected is they don't have limitations on the liability. So take Oh, give me your phone.
Okay.
All right, I have your phone here. Okay.
Yep.
All right, let's see. I'll go right to the camera. Okay, on this side of the phone are the non-protected entities, the sole proprietors, general partnerships, what have you. On this side of the phone are the limited liability companies and the C corps. We'll get to S corp in a minute. Okay. Now, when you're a sole proprietor or a general partner, you personally are responsible for the debts of the business, for the liabilities of the business, the lawsuits of the business, et cetera, which means that if the business has 10 grand in its account, 20 grand, heck, 100 grand in its account, and it gets sued and loses $1 million lawsuit, the $100,000 is coming out of the business account and the other 900,000 is coming from you personally. That's your house, your cars, your bank accounts, your kids' college savings, all that stuff. It's all up for grabs, everything except for your Social Security. It's the only thing that they can't get, right? So all that stuff is up for grabs. Over here on this side, when you have an LLC or a corporation, same scenario. You have $100,000 in the bank account for the business. Business loses $1 million suit, put insurance and stuff aside, right? They can only get the $100,000 that's in the business account. Once the business account and assets are drained, there is nothing else to get. They cannot go after you personally. This is right here is what we call the corporate veil. Okay. This corporate veil protects the LLC and the corporation from the bad actor lawsuits that want to get through that corporate veil. I'm sorry, I'm really going this way. They want to go through the corporate veil to you personally. They can't do it. That's the protection. There are ways to do what's called piercing the corporate veil where you can get around it legally. We're not going to go into that, but it's at the end of the day, it's usually if you don't treat the business like a distinct entity from yourself, right? Like commingling of money is an example. If you have an LLC that doesn't have its own bank account or people are writing you personally checks for the work of the LLC, that's commingling of money and that will pierce the veil every day. But as long as you do everything you're supposed to do, if it's a C corp, separate tax returns, separate bank accounts, separate QuickBooks, everything, they will not be able to get through that corporate veil and get to your personal assets. All right. So that's the purpose of the LLC C corp structure. All right. Sole proprietor, the reason why people do it is because they're right. It's the easiest thing to do. You know what you have to do to start a sole proprietorship?
Nothing.
You literally just stand up and say, I have a business. I just started a business selling widgets as a sole proprietor. Literally, that's it. I am now a sole proprietor. I go out into the world and I make my money. That's a sole proprietorship. No one has to know. You don't have to register it. No one, you'll pay taxes, of course, but no one has to know who, when, what, where, or why. Okay. General partnership is essentially the same thing, except it's more than one person.
Right.
Okay.
So you and I sell widgets together.
Together. We do it. Bam. Done. We're now a widget business. Okay.
I love it.
An LLC and a corporation have to be filed with the Secretary of State. Okay, at least in Pennsylvania. In others, it's usually the Secretary of State. Sometimes it's business organization, business charity, whatever it is. Okay. So once they're filed, and that filing usually is pretty cheap. The most expensive one I know of is California, of course. I think it's $800. I could be wrong on that. California, I apologize if I'm wrong, but it's somewhere up there. Texas is like $300, but everywhere else is like $70. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, they're $125. Right, they're relatively cheap. And you file the documents. There's a couple things you have to do if you're a corporation that you don't have to do if you're LLC. But at the end of the day, it's a very simple thing to do. And once you've done that, you are now protected. Okay, you're either an LLC or a corporation, and the difference between the two of those is very simple. An LLC has members. Okay, the members own the LLC. The members usually run and work in the LLC. They don't always, but they usually do, and they own the LLC. A corporation is a distinct entity. So the LLC is really just an extension of its members. The corporation is a distinct entity separate from its shareholders. Okay. So for example, you own stock in Apple. I own stock in Apple, right? I have nothing to do with the day-to-day operations of Apple. Right. The most I can do is put a vote in for who I want to be on the board of directors. And then the board of directors appoint management, et cetera, et cetera. That's what a corporation is. Even if you are the owner of the corporation and you start it and you own all the stock, You, as a stockholder, have no say in the day-to-day operations of the corporation. Technically, what you're doing as the sole stockholder is appointing yourself as the director, and then the director does the day-to-day operations. The corporation will have its own separate tax return from the individual shareholders as well.
Yep.
And separate from the director, separate from everybody. Everybody that works for the corporation is a W-2 employee. An LLC, as a member of an LLC, you don't necessarily have to be a W-2 employee.
Right. They can do the pass-through income.
Correct. It's all pass-through income. Yep. Exactly. Now, the one catch you mentioned earlier is the S Corp. Okay. The S Corp is nothing more than a tax election. You are choosing to be taxed at the S Corp basis. All right. Mm-hmm. We're not going to go into what that means right now. But
there's also another, because when I had to file, because we had foreign owners,
yes,
we had to file an S Corp.
Yes.
C Corp wasn't an option.
Right. Well, no, you can, your underlying entity type is never an S Corp. There's no such thing as an S Corp as an entity.
So I just know when we get asked, I have to say we're an S Corp because we have foreign ownership.
That's fine. Yeah. But I'd have to look at your structure, mm-hmm. but so you can be a sole proprietor as an S Corp. You can be a general partnership as an S Corp. You can be an LLC or a C Corp. All of those can be taxed as S Corps.
Okay.
Okay. But it is not in itself its own type of entity.
Got it.
All right. So that's the difference between, unregistered entities, registered entities, liability protection, et cetera. I usually, when I first meet a client who's talking about starting a business, it's about a 15 to 20 minute presentation to explain to them all these differences. And obviously I go into much more detail, but so on a podcast, hopefully it makes sense.
It's just important to me that people understand that filing a DBA does not give you any of the rights or protections that having a legal entity does.
You're right. I missed the part about the DBA. Okay. So a DBA, doing business as, also known as a fictitious name, is nothing more than what you have an underlying entity somewhere, whether that underlying entity is a sole proprietorship, an LLC, or a corporation. That fictitious name or DBA does nothing more than point back to that underlying entity.
And it could be an individual as well.
Correct. Yeah. Well, that would still be a sole proprietorship.
Correct.
Either way, right?
Yeah,
you're a sole proprietor. Well, you're either a sole proprietor or you're not.
Yeah.
So what would happen is if you have a DBA, XYZ company is my DBA and it's me as a sole proprietor, it's still me as a sole proprietor. I'm just operating under the name of XYZ company. It doesn't change, doesn't turn me into an LLC.
Right.
Now, in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and the states around here, I can't speak for all states, but I do believe it applies to all states. When you apply for a DBA, that does not protect your name at all. Doesn't give you any rights to the name other than a common law trademark. Okay.
Right.
So if you were to start a DBA as a sole proprietor, or it really doesn't matter, just a DBA XYZ company, I can then go to the state and create XYZ company LLC, and I will have superior rights to you.
Right, because you're a legal entity.
Because I'm a legal entity versus a DBA. Yep. And I know in Pennsylvania, it specifically says when you're filing, this does not protect your name, the rights in the name. You must file as an LLC or a corporation.
Or file it as a trademark.
But that still won't, believe it or not, that won't keep somebody else from filing it in Pennsylvania. It just now gives you the right to go after them for trademark infringement.
Right. If they use the name.
If they use the name in the same category.
Right. So for example, I could go file a DBA right now that is, or I could start an LLC called PepsiCo. But if I file a DBA name that's Gummies Widgets, and I'm doing business under the Gummies Widgets, the PepsiCo LLC could still stand.
Correct, as long as the PepsiCo LLC is not in the soft drink or any of the other trademark.
Right.
Like I have to imagine PepsiCo does not have a trademark in computer apparatus,
or
for example,
pens.
Right?
Right. Well,
maybe. Right. I would imagine they don't, that they let's assume they don't have, and I think it's category 42. I could be wrong about that. No, it's not 42. Maybe it's 9. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's say they don't have a trademark in scientific apparatus like computers. Okay. Yes, you could create PepsiCo the LLC as long as you're not doing business in any of the things that they're currently trademarked in.
Right.
Right. And you can't use their logo either. Your logos now, that's a copyright issue and it's a whole different story. But
so this is why I always tell people, right? Like your first initial session with a business attorney to have the conversation is normally a free consultation, right? Take advantage of it. Go talk to them. You're going to walk out with information you didn't have when you walked in, and you'll understand the difference between a DBA and an LLC and whether or not you need it, right? Like if you are Donna's Makeup, right? And all you do is apply makeup to wedding parties. Are the chances that you need some kind of legal protection there? Yes, but they're nominal, right? But if you're Joe's Tree Service and you're literally cutting down trees on people's properties around their houses, you should probably be well protected, right? Like there's a level of risk. If I'm making, let's do arts and crafts. Let's say I make pottery.
You name any business and I will tell you where the risk is.
Oh yeah. But like, let's say I'm an arts and crafts guy, right? And I make paintings and I sell them at the local flea market.
Okay.
Do I absolutely need an LLC for that?
Well, no. Seriously, I will tell you why if you want.
So you should, right? But we know most people that are making these pottery and they're not doing it, right? And it's because it's a relatively low risk thing to do versus a lot of other stuff.
It's not.
Oh, it kind of.
It's not as high risk as making automobiles or climbing ladders and things like that.
Being on roofs, or working on someone's plumbing.
But you could. I'm telling you, and I've seen it. Right, you could be the guy who goes in the garage and makes 6 paintings a week, and then goes to the local flea market and sells them, and that could still ruin your life if you're not protected.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I think it's a risk thing. And if it's the difference between you not doing anything and doing something, I would still say do something rather than doing nothing. You should do the right thing. You should do the ideal thing. You should do the thing that protects you, but not everyone can, so to speak, right? Like I know people that don't have 2 pennies to rub together.
Sure.
Right? Telling them to go spend $125 to file an LLC and then spend $2,000 a year or $1,000 a year on business insurance and another $500 because now you need a CPA to file your taxes, like whatever it is. Like, I get it. I get there are people that are in that.
They're in that world, sure, yeah.
And that's fine. But they need to understand the risks, right? Like,
so as you said it earlier, they don't have 2 pennies to rub together. Then there's no risk. What are you going to lose? You can't get blood from a stone, right? There's nothing to lose.
Correct.
But if you do have more than 2 pennies to rub together, you have house, car, etc. You better protect yourself.
Yes.
Because all those assets are up for grabs if you don't.
Yeah. And this is part of what comes with talking to an attorney and talking to an insurance guy is like, what is your actual risk? Like, because if you're worth nothing and you have nothing and there's nothing to come after, the risk of someone coming after you is slim to none because there's nothing to get.
Right.
Right. If on the other hand, you do own a house or a car or have a
sizable savings account or something,
whatever it is, then now you have to start evaluating your risk differently.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And once again, it's just back to the whole filing a DBA and saying I'm a business is all fine and dandy. You just need to understand that you don't get any of the protections that a business actually gets.
Correct.
So that was kind of, and this was the conversation I was trying to have with them. And they kept trying to convince me otherwise. And I'm like,
and you didn't call me? What a shame. I would have been right down.
I know.
She'd be like, I got my buddies and attorneys on speed dial. Hold on.
And I didn't want to plug the podcast. Like, I didn't want to be like, listen, I do a podcast with a business attorney every damn week. Like, trust me, I've heard it all at this. Well, not
That's
even
funny.
all. I've heard a lot of it at this point in time, right? Like, but there's moments to throw your weight around and like throw down the gauntlet and say you're wrong. But like, The more I talked, one of the guys started saying, well, yeah, no, he's technically correct. And I'm like,
No,
yes, I am technically correct. I am technically correct that if you don't have an LLC,
you're either correct or you're not. So technically,
I know, but you have to remember a lot of times you're having conversations with people that have never been in business at all. Right?
That's true.
I remember when I used to teach for SCORE.
Oh, that's right. You used to do that.
Yeah. And one of the things that I would always ask people about is like, we would go through basic things like, okay, did you create a business plan? Did you talk to a business attorney about your legal structure? Did you, like, we went through all these steps and I'm like, I was amazed that there was always probably more than half the room that hadn't even talked to a business attorney yet, but were already doing some kind of business.
I can tell you why.
And I would always tell them, stop, like, just go talk to the attorney, see what you need to do before you go any further, especially if you're doing something that's on someone else's property or if you are handing another person something, right? Because even if it's pottery, okay, you sell someone a piece of pottery, they take it home, their child chokes on it.
Yep.
Who are they coming after, right?
Exactly. And I'll tell you, the reason why probably those people don't go to an attorney is because they think it's very expensive. And it can be if you don't do it the right way.
Yeah.
Right. There's lots of attorneys, myself included, out there that will give a free consultation.
Yeah.
I always give free consultations. I love giving free consultations.
A lot of people do, right? Like, they're in the boat of, if I advise you now, when you need it,
you're going to come to me. Exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly. I look at long-term. Everything's a long-term relationship with me. If it's short-term relationship, it's probably not going to work out, to be honest.
Right.
And a lot of attorneys will. And I'm telling you, you sit in my office for a half hour, and there's a lot of other attorneys that do the same thing. I got a good friend, John Benson, the same thing.
Oh yeah.
You will learn more in that first half hour. That is free because it's a free consultation than you ever would researching on the internet.
Yeah.
So you can speak to attorneys. Most of them, I can't say most, but a lot of them have free consultation.
And it's the same thing. Like, if you look around with the people we know, right? Whether it's a contractor, a marketing company, photographer, videographer, most of them will have that initial conversation with you and not charge you for it.
Right.
And they will educate you because most good businesses want you to be an educated consumer, because the best consumer is an educated consumer that knows what they're buying. Right. So yeah, I think, I don't know. I think it was timely to have this conversation because we've talked about a bunch of stuff, but this is like one of those basic things. Like, when we were talking about starting it or scrapping it, like, if you don't have legal protections, you should probably scrap it for now and restart it under some kind of legal protection.
You know what we should do? And please, people listening, put in the comments if you want this. We should do like a live workshop one day. Right? Like a live over the like a live streaming podcast workshop on, business entity types and what people should do. Let people put questions in, we can answer them, and that'd be kind of cool.
That would be fun.
And I can go to the board. I love going to the board and drawing things. It's great.
I know. You love the board.
I always go to the board. I used to I used to teach software development, so we always go to the board and draw our functions and everything.
I love my board.
I love doing that. I know, it's great. So the boards that you see behind Gummy right now, I have them all over the office. I have probably about 10 of them around the office.
I have 3 or 4 in mine.
They're great. I love them.
I even went back to the damn cork board.
Did you?
Yeah, because sometimes
school.
I'll hang up paper because I want to save what I'm writing on the paper.
Yeah.
And then we put it aside, and then we either scan it or photograph it.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's kind of cool.
We're really old school with some stuff.
All right. So, let's help some people.
What do you think? Let's get to the actual episode.
All right. Hey, if you're having a good time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Oh, and press the like button. Leave a comment.
Do you like the like button?
I like the like button.
I really like the like button.
Do you know what I love, though?
What?
Comments. I love comments.
Comments are great.
Especially if they're questions that we can get to and actually answer.
That's right. So leave us some comments and we'll get back to you on those.
Okay.
Let's get back to it. All right. So we are under the subreddit of business_ideas. And the first one's already a winner. I like it. Meaning that we can actually discuss it. It's not AI and it's not somebody selling something.
And it's not, I'm looking for a
software partner. All right. This is from Dry Bookkeeper 3413. Says, planning on starting a jet ski rental business. I like it already. Planning on starting a jet ski rental business. Any advice on or helpful insight from someone with experience in the jet ski rental business. Any advice or help would be appreciated, especially advice on standing out from competitors. So there's two parts to that: starting it and marketing it.
Yes.
All right. So starting it, I think we just did a pretty good job explaining what you should be doing. If you're renting equipment, you absolutely positively want to become an LLC or a C Corp,
And
probably an LLC.
and have plethora of insurance.
Plethora of insurance. Absolutely. If you don't know what plethora means, please go watch The Three Amigos. You will quickly understand what plethora means.
That's where I got it from.
That's where everyone got it from.
It became my favorite word.
No one knew that word before The Three Amigos.
My other one is infamous. He's so famous that he's
infamous.
infamous.
So funny. No one knew those two words before The Three Amigos. Anyway, you absolutely want to form your business as either as an LLC or a C Corp. This sounds like a perfect LLC for me. And insurance is going to be key.
Yep.
Okay. The equipment you get could be brand new, state of the art. Doesn't matter. Someone's going to hurt themselves. Yep. Someone's going to get hurt, and guess whose fault it's going to be? You can give them all the training in the world, have them sign all the waivers in the world. You could wrap them in bubble wrap, and they'll still find a way to get hurt, and it will be your fault.
I have a great story for you.
I'm sure
about this
you do.
So, back when I was in the cooking world, I took a summer job on a glacier with snowmobile tours.
Where?
In Iceland.
Oh, okay.
So we were up on the glacier, right? And I was part of the kitchen staff, and because I had search and rescue experience and all that stuff, when they were short on guides, I would be the one that was brought out, right?
So you're the Sherpa.
Yes. What's funny is when we got certain nationalities, headquarters, it was like a hour bus ride from where they boarded to take the bus up to the glacier. Every once in a while, we would get a call from HQ, and all they would say is, "We need everyone on the guides right now."
That's so. When I was a lifeguard, when you heard the 3 whistles, that means someone's dead, basically.
Okay,
so it's the same thing.
It's not.
Okay,
we just knew that there were certain people coming on that bus that would require more guides to keep them all safe.
I thought like someone was lost and everyone's got to go find them.
Because you would think like the snowmobile theoretically is the easiest thing, just like a jet ski on the planet to drive, because there's no brake. There's there's literally just
go or no go.
It's go or no go, right? And you would think that people know when the thing is falling over and it's on its side that you should let go of the gas. There are certain people that don't know that. And we would literally have to monitor. And when we saw someone was beginning to tip over, we would ride up next to them and slap them on their hand that held the gas so that they would not go down and start spinning the snowmobile. No, I kid you not. Right? And don't give me that look. So when I tell you that anytime you put anybody on a mobile device, and I don't mean like a phone, but like a device that can
vehicle of some sort,
there are going to be a handful of people that have no idea how to operate that vehicle, but will tell you that they can.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
Right?
Yeah.
So like with stuff like this, as dumb as it sounds, right? The first thing you need to do is do standard operating procedures. I would even go as far as having a dummy jet ski on the beach and have someone show me how they're going to sit on it.
Yeah.
What they're going to do if it starts tilting. What they're going to do if they feel like they're falling off. Because a lot of people don't even realize that they have to counteract what
is the fascination? And I've seen this before now that you mention it. What is the fascination with about to fall off and wanting to go faster?
I don't
like that's going to save you or something.
No, so here's the thing. You have to remember that the gas on these things is normally like a squeeze.
Yeah,
right. So as they're falling off, the natural instinct is to hold on tighter. And when you hold on tighter, what do? You push the gas, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So besides all of this stuff, other than that, as far as like marketing this and all that stuff, I mean, realistically, almost every jet ski rental is going to be the same, right? It's just a matter of, can you get more attention than the guy right up the beach or whatever? You can also do things like make sure you give people better training, better instructions. That helps you with the word of mouth. For people that have never done it, they're like, oh, you should go here because they actually show you how to do this properly. Yeah. You can do things like make all of your jet skis a certain color so they stand out from everybody else. Like order them.
Make them all hot pink. Seriously, yeah. I'm not joking. Make them all hot pink.
Whatever color.
I have an idea. What about going and partnering with like local hotels and resorts and things like that?
So most of them have to do something like that where they either partner with them. If you're in a touristy area, partner with people that do the tours.
Yep. Tour operators, yep.
So stuff like that is what's going to get you ahead. Google business profiles. If you're overseas, things like TripAdvisor, being found on Google so people can pre-plan coming to you. That's going to be your strong suit.
If you're near a cruise port, be an excursion.
Yep.
Work with the cruise lines to be an excursion. I'm pretty confident you can. So companies like Viator and things like that, all they do is they find people who own little excursions and things like that and all over the world, and they become partners with Viator, and now you're on the Viator list. Now you're paying Viator a percentage to do that.
You're paying a percentage to market.
Viator's signing people up to use your services, so that'd be another way to do it as well.
I call it a transfer of marketing budget.
Yeah.
Right? They are now marketing you and getting people in your door.
Exactly.
Just like a salesperson or marketing person would. So, but yeah, I mean, I love stuff like this. I always love physical businesses. Oh, and another thing, don't underestimate the amount of maintenance you're going to need, because people will beat your equipment like dead. Like they will abuse it.
Yeah.
Because it's not theirs. So even the people that are experienced riders will try to do stuff on your jet ski that they wouldn't think of doing on their own.
Of course they wouldn't. No. And that's the same thing with rental cars.
Oh, yeah.
People... I don't. I actually try to keep my rental car nice, but people just annihilate rental cars sometimes. I wonder is that why you think in the U.S. rental cars, now that we're way off topic, but rental cars don't have manual transmissions anymore? Because people that don't know how to drive manual transmissions rent them?
Honestly, it is hard to find manual transmissions in any car.
In this country, it's impossible.
Even at the dealership.
Yeah.
But it was funny because I had this conversation with my uncle who's a mechanic. And this is going back years, like when every car where I grew up was stick shift.
Sure.
Like,
well, you're over in Europe. That's where it is. Yeah.
So on automatic was like the odd one out, right? And I always remember him saying, he's like, if the automatic transmission was slightly better, he's like, there is all the benefits in the world to having an automatic versus a manual. He's just like, most people don't like how it shifts, right? And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, half the problems I had with all my cars when I was driving stick shift was the flywheel, the clutch. The automatic transmission eliminates a lot of that maintenance, right? So it makes sense now that automatic transmissions have gotten so much better that we're no longer using stick shift. Like stick shift is like an art form, and it's really cool. But like when Ferrari goes to paddle shifters, right? It's probably time for
it's at the end,
right? It's probably time for Ford to do it as well, right? Like you only need a manual transmission for like if you're jeeping, right? If you're off in the woods or driving on 8 foot of snow, I can see where a manual transmission could work to your benefit.
Sure, yeah.
But with these automatic transmissions nowadays, like, do you really need it? Like,
no, you don't, but they are better in gas mileage, usually, right?
It depends on how you drive it. That's the thing.
Well, that's true because you could overdo it with the RPMs.
So like when, do you remember when Mazda launched their like Sky Active technology that was supposed to be like, do you know what they did to the car?
No.
All they did was they manipulated the transmission so that they put in more gear so it shifts at a lower RPM.
Oh, okay.
That's all it did.
That's all it did.
Because I literally had the model before they went to Sky Active, and then I was going to trade it in and get one that was like the Sky Active. And I got it and I drove it, and I'm like, what the hell did they do to this car? Like they used to be so much fun, and now it's like I was like,
no fun anymore.
Yeah, no. It was a similar engine, similar horsepower that you felt the transmission. They slaughtered it.
I have a funny manual story. So I drove a manual early 2010s. I had a Mazda 3.
Mm-hmm.
What a fun car. It was so much fun.
That's what I had, the Mazda 3.
Yeah. And it was the first stick shift I had driven. Mm-hmm. I learned how to drive on it, and it was great. It was a real fun car. So this past summer, I think it was past summer. I'm over in England with my friends. We're at the Phillies are playing the Mets, right?
Yeah.
And so we went for the series, and the night before the game, Weezer and Smashing Pumpkins were playing about 2 hours away. Nice. And I think in Birmingham, maybe something like that. I think it was Birmingham, England. And we were my buddy and I were like, you know what, we got to go to this. We're like big fans of both. So
can you not?
We rented a car. And I'm like, of course I could drive stick shift. It's not a problem.
Can you drive stick shift left-handed?
Okay, so that's the funny part. I completely had it in my head that of course I'm on the other side of the road. I have no problem with that. I'll figure it out. And then I get in the car and I realize, oh my God, the stick's on the other side. And I did perfectly fine. The first 10 minutes were definitely a little scary because I was not used to shifting with the left hand.
Yep.
I picked it up. We got on the highway, got back. Everything was fine. But it was just like, okay, I don't know what
like, where's first gear, right?
I could not get into first gear.
Yeah.
First gear, that's what it was. There was like, so if this with the paddle, there was a little thing you had to lift up in order to get in the first gear.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I don't know that. How am I supposed to know about that?
A lot of times that you have to lift it to get into reverse.
Yeah,
as well.
Maybe it was reverse.
I think it's reverse.
It was reverse,
you lift,
I think. Yeah.
And then sometimes the gearbox is opposite, right? So it's towards you and up is first.
It took forever to figure out.
So when you're left-handed, it's like, wait a minute. So is it away from me and up, or is it still towards me and up? Right. Yeah. And yet another reason why we eliminated manual.
It took a little bit to figure. And the funny thing is, while we were at the the rental place, the guy knew I was from the United States. He goes, "So do you want an automatic?" I was like, "No, I'll drive a manual." He goes, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can drive a manual, no problem.
I got this. I think."
So anyway, back to jet skis.
Yeah.
Cool idea. I love jet skis. Are so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Marking it is probably, at least at first, if not continuously, it's going to require you to partner with people.
Oh yeah.
That's the best way to get people into your shop.
And here's the thing. The other thing is, this is where I love old fashioned marketing, right? Like if you're
word of mouth.
Beyond that, if you're in like a tourist town, like print out little flyers. And literally have someone walking around town just handing those out like
direct
candy,
marketing,
right?
Yeah, I like
it. It works. As much as people think it doesn't, there's a reason you still see it in places like New York and Philly, where people are standing on a corner and handing you flyers, right? It's because that stuff works.
I saw a TikTok the other day. It was great of that happening. Someone handing him a flyer. Guy pulls out a pen, signs it,
and hands it back.
Like, thanks. Like he's getting an autograph. It was great. All right. So Drive Bookkeeper, good luck to you. Cool idea. I really do hope it works out for you. And let us know where you are. We'll come check them out. All right. Let's see. Oh, the first one was so good.
Yes, I know. It was so promising.
Okay, this one looks interesting. All right, this is from Pammy W. I have an idea for a friendship app and I'd love some feedback. Hi, everyone. As someone who's introverted, works from home, and recently moved to a new city, I've come to the realization that making genuine friendships as an adult is hard. I know I'm stating the obvious. I've tried Bumble, BFF, making posts in subreddits, etc., but I haven't had much luck. The biggest issues I've come across have been ghosting, flakiness, people not being who they say they are, and not vibing with someone because they weren't being transparent about what they're looking for or what they actually like. So I had an idea for an app that is purely for building real, long-lasting platonic friendships, not for dating, hookups, etc. So the features I was thinking of including was photo and age verification, value-based matching, activity matching. I mean, it sounds like a dating app, but I'd also like to have features like conversation prompts and meeting hangout ideas. What do you think? Would you use something like this? Would these features help, etc.? So I mean, it is a cool idea. I don't mind the idea of a friendship app, right? I just watched a video on adult friendships actually, and why they're so complicated, right? So the premise of it, and whoever, if other people have seen the video and whoever made it, I apologize if I butcher it. But the premise of it is when you're kids, you all have the same mindset. You're kids, you want to go out, you want to do this, you want to do that, right? You're all like generally around the same age, around the same grade. You all generally the same interests, etc. That goes through high school, generally into college. You're all hanging out, doing things. But then when you're an adult, once you're out of college and you're in the real world, workforce, etc., everybody has different drives, different directions, different interests,
different priorities.
And if you didn't form that friendship when you were younger, it is significantly harder to form it when you're an adult. And it's because you don't necessarily have the same interest, political, music, whatever. You don't necessarily, and this is the big one, is time. You don't necessarily have the same time. I might be available in the afternoons, whereas you're only available in the evenings, right? You have a couple of kids that you put to bed at night. So 6 to 8 o'clock at night, you're out. I can't, there's no gummy, right?
Nope.
So,
nope, that's my family time.
Exactly.
Right? Yep.
So, and so that makes it incredibly difficult for adults to form relationships with other adults that they don't know from childhood.
Yep.
So something like this, I think this would be a very important thing because it is hard for a lot of people to form friendships.
It reminds me of the one we did not too long ago. I don't remember if it was on the half episode or a full episode. The guy that proximity app. Finds people with similar interests, right? Like, so this is very similar to that. You could even add the proximity feature to this.
Sure.
You're somewhere and there's someone that also likes, the Premier Football League.
Right.
And you notice that every Sunday they're down at the local bagel shop watching the Premier League.
Right.
Well, maybe you should reach out and be like, hey, I see you're here every Sunday. Like,
that's a good point, especially around soccer, because we have a bar up here called the Iron Abbey, right? It's part of a Brazilian steakhouse, but the Iron Abbey, what a great bar.
It's attached to Nebraska, right?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But most people aren't going to know what Nebraska is.
No. I've never been. So I've been to the steakhouse. I've never been to the.
You would love the Iron Abbey.
Okay.
Oh my, it's a soccer bar.
Oh, it is?
It is a soccer bar. I didn't discover this till about 4 or 5 years ago when I happened to go in during the European Cup. I was like, why are there so many people here? Oh, the European Cup's on, and everyone's in their jerseys and stuff. And so now, whenever there's any big soccer matches or during the U.S. During the World Cup or Euro Cup, that place is packed. And I met so many cool people there. And I stay in touch with some of them here and there, but that's a perfect example, right? You find we have a shared interest, soccer, right? I probably wouldn't talk to any of these people outside of that just because we probably don't have any shared interests. But
you might.
You might. But I'm saying I probably wouldn't have found them any other way.
Correct. If you don't start with one shared interest, which is why like a lot of friendships develop at work, right? And then you have your work friends and you guys go out and you talk about all kinds of stuff, but like what connects you is work.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing if you join a Rotary club or if you join a chess club, whatever it is that there is one commonality that you have.
Right.
And then as you get to know people, you may find out that you have way more things in common. Right. And that's how the friendships develop.
Yep.
So really what this app does is just help you find the common denominators that are the beginning of a potential friendship. Right. Just because you have a shared interest doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be like friends.
Let's take it in a different direction.
Okay.
Instead of it being like a dating app, which is kind of what it is, right? I have an interest. I'm looking for people with similar interests, right? Obviously not for romantic interest.
No, it could be male, female, whatever, right?
What if it's from the point of view, we have a group that does X. We're looking for more people that are interested in doing X.
So they already, believe it or not, like Meetup.com.
Meetup does that stuff similar.
Yeah, they have exactly that. They have hiking groups. They have
that's true.
They have jet ski groups. They have where people are literally getting together and hanging out as groups, doing random things. I even think they have like happy hour groups. Right?
Really?
I'm pretty sure they do. Like I was looking through it the other day.
My wife and I were thinking about starting like a wine group. Because we both love wine.
Yeah, I think there are that you can find them on like Meetup and stuff.
Interesting.
Same thing. You can find those groups on Facebook. There's actual, like, I belong to one called the Pennsylvania Bourbon Society.
Of course you do. And cigars too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'm
and cigars.
couple of cigar groups. But like, I found out that there were a couple of local people in that group.
That's
and
cool.
We actually ended up getting together and sharing, some bourbon. And I've met a couple of the guys on one of the Facebook groups we met at the Cigar Lounge.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's not going to say we're going to be like BFFs, but it was enough that we found a common ground to get together and have a conversation.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see it being an app like that being very useful, because what it does is you might not even realize you're interested in something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you could see that, oh yeah, hiking, I kind of like that when I was younger. And even I haven't thought about that in 10 years. Maybe I should start doing that again.
My wife got dragged into this fitness kickboxing thing.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. And not only does she do the fitness kickboxing now like 3 or 4 times a week, but then they go as a group and they do like the Tough Mudder, and they'll go hike a mountain and all kinds of stuff. And she's like, when she stopped going to a specific class and started going to a different one, she came home the one day. She's like, I miss my crew. They had literally built like a community around, like, people that were in this class became like a group, like a crew. And she started hanging out with a couple of them, like, outside of that. Like, they would go out and have dinner together and stuff. And I was like, well, it's a commonality, right?
So again, you could do this app from both ways, right? You could do it from the individual looking for an individual, or individual looking for a group.
Yeah.
Right. I like the group idea better personally.
Well, it depends. Like,
it's tough.
No, so
you can do both.
Because like, I remember when I was in Florida, like a few years ago, I moved down there for a little bit to see how I liked it, and
I noticed you're back.
But very very quickly came back. But there was this bar that I used to go to, and the only reason I kept going to the bar is because there were a lot of Eastern Europeans that frequented it.
Oh.
And in the corner of the bar, there were literally 4 tables set up with chessboards. So I would go there.
Cool.
I'd go there twice a week, have a beer, have a burger, have some wings, and literally sit there and play chess with these guys.
With strangers that eventually became acquaintances.
Like people that I then got to know and stuff, I had their phone numbers. We would text like, hey, are you going over tonight? And stuff like that. But like that, if I would have stayed longer, that probably would have been the foundation of like a friends group. But the common interest was...
So the thing is, though, how many of those people do you stay in contact with now?
None, because I moved.
Yeah. And that's the thing. People that you were friends with when you were kids, it doesn't matter where they are in the world, you're still staying in contact with some of them, I'm sure. None?
Nope.
None at all. That's crazy. Okay,
I have 3 people that I stay in contact with.
Oh, it's not like 100. It's going to be minimal. It's going to be a handful.
So when I say stay in contact, meaning I like their Facebook posts.
So you don't have like text threads or anything like that with these people?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nobody prior to the age of 17.
Wow. Okay.
Other than like, we stay in touch because of social media, but if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't know them today.
Okay, I'm kind of curious what the split is on that then, because I think most people I know, whether they're young people I've known from when I was younger or older, they have that core group, and it's usually like 3 or 4 people that they'll always be friendly with. And always call and stuff like that.
It's funny because my wife is the same way. My sister's the same way as that. They have friends that they go back ages for.
Right.
I think the difference is because I have another friend, just like me, that doesn't really have like friends going.
Yeah.
I think his oldest friendship is when he was in the military.
Okay.
So in his 20s, right? Like that's as far back as he goes.
Yeah.
But me and him are both in the unique situation that we never lived in the same place for more than 2 years at a time until our late teens.
Oh, okay.
So we never formed long-term friendships as kids with someone. Everybody was like a year-long or 2-year friendship. And then from there, it was just, it's like, do you remember what the hell's the name of that movie? Fight Club. You remember Fight Club?
Oh yeah, Fight Club was great.
Remember when
Brad Pitt.
Remember when he's sitting on the plane and he goes, they're like single serve friends.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of what I feel like it was when you grow up, and it's only, you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't bother me.
You sure?
Yeah.
I'm trying to block the sun out of your eyes.
It doesn't bother me at all.
right.
It's gonna look weird on camera, but when you grow up like that, you realize that you're not gonna be here next year. So like friendships only run so deep, which is also the same reason my wife says I'm messed up, because I don't miss people.
Yeah.
Like I really, not to that extent, not like when I hear someone say, "Oh, I miss my friends," and I'm like, I don't get that. Like, are there people that I would, like, if I don't talk to them for a while, that I'm like, hey,
what's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it enough for me to pick up the phone and call them? No.
Huh. Text them at least?
No.
Really?
Oh, no.
Wow.
Like I probably have 7 people that I text. If I go through my text
I'm proud
messages
to be
right
part
now,
of that list.
Yeah. So let me see. So out of everyone that I've texted in the last, I don't know, I can probably do the last 3 weeks. So the ones that I would consider friends on that list are you, my buddy Anthony, this guy I'm friends with because of our kids. Work.
Wow.
Work. Kind of a friend, but also work. So the last friend that texted me was December 24th. Merry Christmas.
Come on.
Other than the couple that I mentioned.
I don't know if that's like usual or not, or common. I don't know. That's not my world is definitely very different than that.
I don't know. And then the last friend before that was December 9th.
I have 3 very distinct groups of friends. Mm-hmm. I have my core group. And sometimes when I say my core group, they're not all necessarily friends either, meaning with each other, right?
Yep.
But there's like probably 6 or 7 people that I don't have to talk to every day. I don't even have to talk to every year, although I do. I talk to them quite often. But I know if I left for 10 years and came back, we pick it right back up where we left off, right? Then there's a group of people that I'm friends with, right? Very good friends with, but I only talk to them a couple of times a year just because, we just don't see each other very much. Either they're away somewhere else or just things don't line up for us to get together, right? And then there's the group of guys, it's usually guys, it's actually probably all guys. Then there's the group of guys that I probably haven't spoken to in 4 or 5 years. But like I said, if they were to write me on Facebook or if they were to send a text or vice versa, we could pick up and talk about anything at any time.
Yeah, I have a couple of those friends, but I see them like every week. We have like a standing lunch appointment or whatever. Yeah. But I'm actually going through right now. So I'm looking at what's not business related, what's just a pure friend, right? So I had December 24th, December 9th, September 25th, and I'm now in July. July 6th is the last one before that.
Okay.
And that's because it's like I
feel so bad for you.
It's a friend of my wife's best friend. It's her husband. And it was because he was texting me about something for the 4th of July party. That I think
so if you're listening to this podcast, Gummy needs friends.
I don't need friends. I got plenty of friends.
Gummy needs some love, people.
And before that, June 13th. Oh, that was kind of work related too, because it was a
wow, that's fascinating to me.
I'm trying to look like how many friends I even have on my thing.
Doesn't sound like a lot.
No, I don't.
I mean, I'm as guilty as you are with most. I would say most of the communication I do is work related.
Yeah,
but there's still plenty of friends on my list.
Oh, here we go. So the last person that's like a pure friend that has no business connection whatsoever.
Yeah,
that is just a friend from high school. The last text message to and from him was 5/8/23. So
23.
Yeah,
so almost 2 years.
Well, no.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
Wow.
Give or take.
Gummy, I think we have to discuss what the word friend really means.
Oh, here's another one. I was active in 23. One from February 28th, 23.
That's active.
And that would be it. So yeah, I am very different when it comes to friend. Like
I think you are. I think you're
yes.
you're the 1 or 2 percenters of people that probably have relations. I could be dead wrong.
Probably.
I don't know.
Like I it's funny because I will be sitting on the couch with my wife watching a movie, and like every 3 minutes, ding, bzz, ding.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, a friend was texting me. When's the last time you saw this friend? She's like, oh, we haven't talked in like months or years. And I'm like, how do you know they're still a friend? Like, would they come bail you out? If you were in prison, if you got arrested for some random bullshit tomorrow, would they come bail you out? And she goes, no.
That's a great test.
And I'm like, that's not.
That's the test.
That's not a friend then. Like, if I think about if how many people could I call tomorrow?
Yeah.
If for some reason I got picked up by the cops, right? Justly, unjustly, whatever.
Yep.
And I needed someone to come bail me out. How many people do I have that I could call?
That's a great test. I probably have 10 or 12.
I probably have 4. And those are the same 4 people that I would actually talk to on a regular, like December. Okay. So like at least once a month, I would touch base with them.
Right.
But the cool thing is, like, all of these friends, even if I haven't talked to them in a year and a half, I could call them tomorrow and go,
that's
hey,
the beauty.
Do you want to go?
Do
you want to go play 18 holes? And we would hang out for 5 hours as if we had seen each other like last weekend.
That's the beauty. That's a beauty of a long-standing friendship. Exactly. All right. So we are way off topic here. Yes. All right. Anyway, so Friends app, yes, like the idea.
Yep.
I think you incorporate both the individual to individual and individual to groups. Right. Yep. Get that in there. I think that would, I think you'll see the groups probably do a lot better. Maybe not.
If I remember correctly, I think my sister met one of her best friends in Chicago through a running group.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was funny because she's like, it was our first day. Like, both of us showed up for the first time to this running group.
Yep.
Totally out of shape. We knew there was no way we were going to be able to run it, but we just wanted to kind of get started. Yeah. And she's like, we ended up walking together most of the run. And she's like, ever since then, we just connected and they became best friends.
That's what happens sometimes. And here, Pammy W could have set up the running group, or could have had the running group on her app.
Yep.
And maybe you go from there. I don't know. Yeah, I do like the idea. I think that there's too many dating apps out there. I do think we need apps for people just to find each other.
Yeah.
For non-romantic relationships. So it's kind of cool. Good luck to you on that. I hope that works. All right, let's see. I'm curious if this was...
Me too. I kind of...
You saw it? He's like, okay?
Yeah.
All right. This is from J.H. Livingston. All right, it says, sharing patient data with treating physicians easily.
Mm-hmm. They've been trying to do this.
I know.
Even the government stepped in and said, you need to make it easier to transfer the data between treating physicians.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah, I actually wrote a paper on it.
So this is why, like, I'm curious about this.
Hi, I'm a clinical scientist with biomedical engineering degree, PhD and MS. I have worked in medical devices, AI, imaging, etc. for the last 4 years and well familiar with HIPAA and other regulations around medical/patient data. While what I'm interested in is a platform or solution to be able to share my data as a patient, with whichever doctor I want. I'm originally from Turkey, and it is much easier to share data, and there is infrastructure there to do so. I understand the regulations are different, but why is it so hard to share an MRI image that is taking at an imaging facility with my doctor at the hospital? We already use cloud networks for medical imaging transfer or processing. Why can't we use it for this? I'm genuinely annoyed, so is everyone else, and want to work on this. My question is there already a company with a solution, but why is it not widespread? And as a patient, I don't even know that it exists. I know I'm babbling. My hope is to find people in this subreddit who are familiar with the space and would like to connect. And the very first comment says it already exists.
So
go ahead.
There is something out there called like My Medical Data. I forget exactly what it's called, right? But basically it's a platform where you can store all of your own medical data on it. The problem is you have to go to the doctor, get your data, and put it on there, right?
Yep.
And I
knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. But I think part of the problem with all of this in the US is partially insurance, partially medical networks, right? Is everybody wants to own your medical data, even though technically you're supposed to own it.
Right.
Right. And imagine if all of us had our own cloud service for medical data. We would go to the doctor and be, here you go. This is where I want you to put it once you scan it. We're now putting that work back on the doctors, which of course would get higher insurance costs, all that stuff, right? But so yeah, as much as it exists that I can have all my data in one place, they don't make it easy to transfer all of my data to my platform. I still believe that I have to go get it. And I don't think it's as easy as like if I have my primary doctor portal, I can't just plug those credentials in and it automatically pulls it. I think I have to manually go get the data and move it in.
No, that makes sense. And I'm glad you mentioned HIPAA because obviously that would be a big part of it. What people don't realize a lot about HIPAA is HIPAA doesn't necessarily apply to you and me. It applies to medical professionals and medical facilities.
It's doctor to doctor, doctor to
really doctor to anyone.
To anyone.
Right. It's really to anyone that you don't give permission as a patient to give to. We could be your mother, father-in-law, doesn't matter.
I could email you all my medical files today if I wanted to.
Right, but but if I happen to have your medical files for whatever reason, I could turn them over to somebody, and that's not a HIPAA violation because I'm not a medical professional.
Correct.
I wonder I guess there'd be a legal, maybe there's a legal
thing
if you
weren't an attorney.
If I was an attorney, if I was Joe Schmo, right? Yep. All right, so let's put HIPAA aside for now. The ideal situation, as you described, is doctor does service, doctor, whatever happens, all that information goes into a bucket, some database somewhere, and that information is available to all other doctors that you give permission to see, right? Obviously, it would still have to be a permission-based thing, but all that information is available. Now, the question becomes, so as attorneys, our thoughts processes, our notes, etc., are separate from the information that we would turn over to like an opposing counsel or something like that. Is there something similar to that with doctors, right? I know doctors take notes and they probably have their own thoughts and impressions. Does that information go into your medical record?
Yes.
It does. Okay.
It has to. All the notes they take, all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So that's good. So that stuff would be there.
If you go and you do a doctor's visit, and after the visit, you log into their portal, you see what they diagnosed, what meds they prescribed, and what their notes
We see how often I go to the doctor, so I have no idea.
And you can see what notes they took during that.
Okay.
Right?
So that stuff's all available then in your
correct.
So yeah, so that information should all there's no reason not to do this in this country, and really in the world, but in this country, there's no reason not to do this, right? Again, insurance or whatever, I don't know, but there should be a centralized system where that information exists, government controlled, fine, I don't care.
So yeah, in this instance, this is always where the US like fumbles around itself. Is they always go, well, who should own the database? Right. And you and I both know organizations like Dun & Bradstreet. Right. Dun & Bradstreet literally gets paid by the US government to compile data on businesses. Right? Like that's so if you want a complete database of businesses, Dun & Bradstreet is the best because they're a government subcontractor that's literally paid by the government to do this, if I remember correctly, right? So any type of business data that you're buying, regardless of who you're buying it from, guess where it all comes from, right? It all comes from the same source, just branded under different names. The problem with setting something like this is, is people freak out and go, well, I don't want the government to have all my medical information. If they own it, right?
You can opt out. There should be an opt out.
I get it, right? But so if you wanted it, you would have to go with a private party and then pay for it, right? So now we get back to is this a business? How much would you pay for a service that has all of your medical information stored in a single database every month? Would you pay $10, $20, $30? because somebody's got to pay, right?
Why? We're already paying. That's what insurance is.
Correct. But now the insurance companies then own the database. So what happens if you switch from Aetna to Blue Cross? Does the information now have to switch over?
What I'm saying is we're already paying for this stuff. Like this I'm not getting the whole talk about universal health care and stuff like that. Sometimes I'm for it, sometimes I'm against it, whatever, right? Forget about all that. But something like this, I would think has to be a government run has to be a government run database. It has to be. Right? I mean, well, okay, so
this is where all this stuff gets murky, right? And I generally don't like to talk about things like
I don't want to get political, but
but like firearms, right? Mm-hmm. You would think that it would be the easiest thing in the world to have a database of serial numbers for firearms, but we aren't allowed to do it.
Right.
Right. Now we're talking medical records. Now we're talking people's most intimate things. Now I know whether you had an STD, any of this stuff, all sitting in a database somewhere run by the federal government.
That anyone can hack at some point or something.
And the federal government has never been hacked, right?
Right. Well, not only have they been hacked, but they've also used data they weren't supposed to, right? And Edward Snowden let us know about that.
Correct. Right. So like, I'm not getting into the conspiracy theories and all that stuff, but like when you look at it historically is, okay, do I care if someone accesses my medical information? I really don't, right? Like
right now you don't until it becomes valuable to somebody else that you had this this whatever. And
so if an insurance company was to access all of my medical records and based on that they get to set a rate based on how risk I am, right? Would I be okay with that?
You're right. No, you're absolutely right because that's exactly what would happen.
That's 100%. That's exactly what. That's what they do with vehicles.
Yeah.
Right. Like everybody's rate is different because driver data is not as protected as medical data, and they know everything. Like we were asked to set up. I always use this as an example. We had a client that was in the vape industry. And we had to set up an age verification tool that had to be verified by a third party.
Yeah.
So you had to put in your name, your address, your last known address. I want to say phone number. Like there were 4 items that we had to put in. And with those 4, the system verified that you were who you said you were, right? Like sometimes it would spit back saying, hey, which of these addresses have you also been associated with? Right? Because it would pull previous addresses. Yeah. And if you pick the right address, they're like, okay, this really is Joe Schmo, right? What I didn't realize is when that age verification process took place, I could log into the client's portal that just did the age verification, and I got a list of anybody that had been age verified.
Yeah.
When I clicked on the names, the amount of data that was available on that person for an age verification. I saw their last 5 addresses.
Oh my gosh!
I saw their credit score. I saw where they do their banking.
Probably
I saw
criminal records too.
I saw their employers. Yeah. I didn't see their record, but I could see there was a little button that says they have a record. Would you like to? And it was like $20 to pull the record. And I was like, wait a minute. We got all of this data for asking them for 4 data points. And based on the 4 data points that I asked you for, you basically handed me over your life history.
Okay. I have another solution to
this.
Okay. So you're right. It can't be centralized. It can't be something that is controlled by anybody else. What it can be is it can be an algorithm. Okay. Hear me out.
Could be the blockchain.
Well, no, because that means it's still being stored somewhere. Okay. What I mean by an algorithm is, let's say that everyone carries this little card, some kind of RFID card or something like that, whatever it is. Okay. Maybe it's even part of your license or something, right? Every time you go to the doctor, you scan the card. Your information's on that card. Okay. It can only be decrypted with the right equipment, et cetera, et cetera. Your information's on that card. The doctor gets to see your information once you scan it into the doctor, right?
Okay.
That information can't be sent anywhere. It can only be viewed.
So it's only on the RFID card.
Right.
And how many backups of that RFID card do you have?
So have you ever, you don't use Apple. Okay. And the reason why it becomes important, I'll tell you in a second. If you've ever had an Apple phone, and you want to get a new iPhone, right? What happens is this iPhone has a setting where you can say transfer, right? And then like is that a new feature in iPhone? shut up. And there's this really crazy like almost looks like little dots dancing around, right?
Mhm.
But it's almost like a QR code on steroids.
Yes.
And it changes all the time. And when you scan the new one, it knows it's your phone and it can transfer the data over. Okay.
Yep.
If you set up the right type of algorithm, right, your information is stored and can be retrieved, right, if you lose your card or something like that, because it's
So once again,
based on certain data points, you can get that
who
information
stores
back.
it?
So,
Because in this case, Apple is the one storing the data.
no, the phone is the one storing the data.
So if
And
I don't,
it transfers the data over to somewhere else.
well, that's not because you have iCloud, right?
No, I don't put myself in the cloud.
Okay.
My personal stuff.
Okay. So
And that's
but,
not where my stuff
but for
lives.
for most people,
Yeah.
they have the iCloud.
Mhm.
So even when you're transferring, it only transfers the data on your device,
Yes.
but it automatically reconnects you to the right iCloud.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Right.
because it's transferred data
So-
over.
So here's the thing. I would not trust anybody with ADHD with a RFID card with all their medical information if there wasn't a backup somewhere. I
But
wouldn't
the backup would have
I
to be
wouldn't trust
personal.
I wouldn't trust myself.
So the backup has to be personal.
Right. So,
So maybe it's in your house or something like that. It has to be somewhere.
have you ever lost the title to a car?
I know people have. I know I haven't, but I know people
So
have.
I have, right?
Okay.
And my wife goes, "How do you lose the title to a car?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I thought I put it here, but obviously I didn't, and now I can't find it. And I have to go to the DMV and get a title reissued and all that stuff, right? But now you're talking medical data. Now you're talking things that could literally save my life, but you want to make me responsible for storing all that data on an RFID card,
Or
hoping
your
that
phone or whatever.
Right. How often do we lose our phones? How often? So that with this type of stuff, there has to be a way. Once again, you cannot do this without either someone being willing to pay for it or you being willing to trust the government to store your data and not share it with anyone. Neither one sounds like a great option to me. I would pay for this service because I was born with a heart defect. And most of my medical records for that are in Iceland,
Mhm.
and I can't access
You can't
them,
access them.
right? But if I could have someone upload them to a secure portal, like CPAs do it.
Yep.
Like CPAs have all your tax information. There's this portal, blah, 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 blah. The CPA pays for it, right? And generally just gives you access, and it's part of what you get billed for.
You give me time. I think I could come up with an offline solution to do this.
Once again, you have to trust someone to be able to store that data. What happens if you're sleeping, your house catches on fire, you
Mhm.
happen to be in,
No, I get it.
right?
I
And
get what
now
you're saying.
all of your data, everything is gone because your
I
house
get what you're
burned
saying.
down.
I still think there's a way to do it. I think there's a way to do it where your information is not accessible
Mhm.
to somebody else.
I get that part, but then who's paying for it? This is where we always get back to
Yeah.
anything, right? Like what this guy is saying is absolutely a legit business idea. Well, you and I can't even agree on where data should be stored, right?
Add 2 more people to this, see what happens.
But once again, someone like me that has lived in multiple countries,
Yeah.
multiple states, have had multiple doctors. I've had all kinds of specialists between my ENT, my doctor, my heart doctor, my pulmonologist, like name it, right? And nowhere can I access all of my information in a
Right.
single spot. Would I pay $100 a year if I could merge all this data into a single spot? So if I end up in the hospital,
Yeah.
my wife could go log in here and you can see all of his relevant medical information? Yeah, because that could be the difference between them saving my life or not. Right? So this, I think, is a legit business. You just have to understand who would be willing to pay for it.
Okay, last
And
point
then-
on this.
And then how do you get the data in?
I think somehow you could tie in the insurance companies. Whereas it would be
Look.
beneficial for the insurance companies for you to have access to all your records
Yes.
because it would make the doctor's job easier and save the insurance company money.
They could subsidize it the same
Yeah.
way they subsidize gym memberships.
Yeah.
They could say, we'll give you, if you sign up for LifeLock, right?
Yeah.
Identity protection.
Right.
This could be something similar where someone then says, okay, because you're signed up for this, we will give you $10 a month towards your membership, right?
Right. Yeah.
And if your account happens to be 100 gigs and you have to pay $20 instead of 10, then guess what? You're responsible for the other 10. But yeah, I am all for having a centralized platform. What I would like to see in this is almost like an API call where, because I have a login to my doctors, right? I have a separate login for my ENT.
Yeah.
I have a separate login for a different specialist. What I would like to do is similar to what we do with other platforms, is where I could go in and I could select my doctor, I could put in my username and password and just push save. And now anytime I go to the doctor, it automatically feeds over to this database.
Yeah, right.
So I would set it up once. I wouldn't have to manually go out and get the information every time. That to me.
Oh, I
be
agree. Yeah. And then when the doctor puts their notes in and stuff like that, it automatically syncs to your, to your account.
So you log into one place,
right,
and to see all of your accounts. It's similar to all of these, like, hey, the Save You Money app, right? Where you put all your usernames and passwords for everything you're subscribed to. And then it monitors, like, how often do you log into it? Like, maybe it's time to cancel it. If they can do that, they should be able to do the same thing with this.
All right. So, yes. Long answer. JH Livingston. Yes.
Yes.
No, it's a lot of people have thought about this. No one's really nailed it yet.
Nope.
There are definitely some things out there, like you said, where you can store your own data. It's on you to do it each time. There's got to be a way that this can happen easier, faster, more automatic.
You would think, like, how many medical systems are there really out there? Yeah, but even if there's 20 of them or 30 of them, right? Like, let's say you don't solve 100. Once again, we get back to don't solve 100% of the
problem. 80%, right?
Solve 80%, right? So if you can take the 20 most common medical software and make an integration where I can put in my username and password for whether it's Einstein Health or, my local doctor medical center or Jefferson or CHOP, like whatever it is, and it automatically feeds the information.
You're essentially the Rosetta Stone for all these medical record companies. Yeah.
Well, not for the medical companies. For me.
No, for you. But I'm saying is you're the Rosetta Stone that they're all talking to.
Yes. Yeah. That's where all the information feeds, because I chose that this is where I want my medical information to go. So you as a medical professional can still use your system, but it is my right to use this to go get a copy of that information. And then if I go to my doctor, right, and the doctor says, hey, do you have that MRI they did? Well, yes, I do.
Matter of fact, I do.
Here, let me click the share button and email it to you.
Yeah.
Right? Or let me click share and spool it over to your system.
Yep.
Because I already have a login. Now I'm just uploading a file that's already in my system.
Yeah.
It would make life so much easier. Like when I got my sinus surgery, right? So they're literally prepping me to put me to sleep, and they go, "Where's your EKG?" Right? That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
And I go, "Well, the doctor did it last week. It should be in my files."
No, it's not there. I know.
We don't have it.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're like, "We can't do the surgery without that." Do you have a machine here? Yeah. Can you do it? We don't know if insurance will cover it. Like, literally that system would have saved me because they ended up charging me separately because it wasn't covered because I had just had one done. Surprise, right? I'm like, I literally would have been able to then pull out my phone, log into my medical records app, pull up the EKG and go, here, it's right here. Do you need me to share it with you? Let me send it to your system because I would already be logged into their system.
Yeah, there's a business there. Man, my mind keeps going. We got to move on because my mind keeps going on this. But I can talk about this particular thing all day.
But I think this is
how we can make this into something.
Yeah, I think it's a legit business, right? And I think there are people that are willing to pay for it.
Yeah,
it's not going to be everybody, right? But there's going to be a group of people, especially if it's anybody that has to see multiple medical professionals that are not in the same network.
See, I'm looking at it from the different point of view. I don't think the individual has to pay for it. I think it has to be the entire. I think you have to have the entire industry behind it, which I know is a lot to suggest. But hear me out. Hear me out. Just like anything else, you start off small. You build the medical record software for the doctor. That software also ties into your phone for your own medical records, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 200, 300, 400 doctors that start using it.
Mm-hmm.
It starts growing. 5 years from now, there's 10,000 doctors using it and grow. And eventually the entire industry is like because people are saying, I want my records on this. And you're the only one who controls, as the developer, the only one who controls it. Right. So doctors are going to be forced to move over to that medical record software.
So that
over time.
But that already exists, right? So these software are now competing with each other. So you will have one chain that uses one software, and you'll have a different chain that uses a different software, because the software that happened to get popular in the Northeast part of the country did not get popular in California and Texas.
No, sure. I know. I get what you're saying. Right? But I don't know of any software right now where 2 doctors that use that software share records.
No, they can. So they can share them. So, for example, if you go to Quest Diagnostics, they can push that over to your doctor's software. Same thing. There are.
I guess I don't know enough about the industry.
There are certain softwares that will communicate where they can push the records over. I don't know exactly how they do it, but they can digitally transmit the data. Okay. Right. So, like, they're already creating some of these connections. What this guy is talking about is regardless of what your doctor uses, regardless of what your hospital uses, you'll be able to have a copy of all your records. Because let's say you get a job offer tomorrow, 10 states away, and you're like, I'm going to take it. And you have to report there in 30 days. Are you going to spend the next 30 days gathering all your medical records because you might have to take them with you?
No, of course. Yeah.
Right. There are so many scenarios where having all of your records and having access to them and having them shareable with a new medical professional is extremely valuable. But the only one that it's truly valuable to is you.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you go to the doctor and they're like, hey, when was your last blood test? 7 months ago. Can I see it? No, I don't have access to it. Oh, guess what? We're going to have to do a new one. Right. Do you have your EKG? Yeah, it's 8 months ago at my primary doctor's office. Do you have access to it? Nope. Oh, we're going to have to do a new one.
Yeah, I have to think this through a little more than I'm going to, because I'm not doing this. But if I had a couple of days to think this through, I think there's a way to do both. But that's all right. We can move on from it. This is just the hamster going in my head right now. You know me. That I get like that sometimes.
But just like, once again, so I think overall this is a great idea. I like it. You just gotta remember that there's going to be certain people that are willing to pay for it. And you might get, so here's the other thing. Just like a lot of people don't know when some of these identity protection stuff started, a lot of them didn't start getting foothold until they started offering it through corporate benefits.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Right. So like if you worked for J&J for $4.99 a month, you got LifeLock, right? Or whatever it is, whatever.
Where it's just an add-on that you don't even think about for $5, right?
So if you can go that route with this and you can get a handful of corporations under your belt, then after that, you can start offering it to the public.
Yeah.
Right. And if you think about it, like one of the things I look at as an employer is how much have you been out sick? Could I have prevented any of that? Could that time have been shorter? Because every time I lose an employee because they're ill, that's not a good thing.
Right.
It's the same reason a lot of companies pay for your health insurance. It's not because they love you and think you're awesome. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't want to hurt your feelings. That literally, I believe, started because they wanted to get people back to work as quickly as possible. So if you had to worry about going to see a doctor and you were out for 7 days because you had a sinus infection versus you could have gone to the doctor and been back in 3, that's productivity loss.
Oh, heck yeah.
it's warm and cuddly. We want to take care of people, right?
And here I thought corporate America loved you.
It does, right? But people tend to forget a lot of this stuff initially was money driven, right? It wasn't a matter of they cared so much about you. They wanted to make sure you were okay. They didn't want to have to lose an employee or retrain them, right? So it was cheaper to pay for medical coverage than the cost of.
Which makes sense. Yeah.
And now it's just become a routine benefit. Companies don't care about it as much as they used to, but it's still, and now most employees have to actually co-pay for their medical insurance anyway.
Yeah.
Right? But
all right, let's move on from this because we're running out of time real fast.
Yeah.
We've only answered a couple of questions today. All right, I like this one.
Well, we did a very important
part. Total important PSA in the beginning.
In the beginning?
Yeah.
That is going to be, that clip is going to have to be cut up and just released as its own clip as well. Just reminder for anybody starting a business, listen to this first.
Yeah, no, absolutely true. All right. Let's see. Anger Vision says virtual fitting room. Here's the concept: using the increasingly accurate AI tech to send users pictures of themselves wearing different outfits with links to where to buy them. Over time, the algorithm learns their preferences and suggests clothing that suits them best. For anyone who wants to try it in WebAt, and then this tech is far from perfect, but I'm working hard to improve the outputs. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that is cool. I'm actually going to check it out.
Isn't it, didn't Stitch Fix do something similar?
Did they?
I want to say they did, where you
this is cool.
Where you can upload pictures of yourself and they'll show you different I thought that was, or maybe not. I'm pretty sure Stitch Fix did it.
I don't know. Let's find out. Let's see. Let's see what the magic box has to say. Take your style quiz. Take your quiz. Let us know your style. Get personalized fix. Go away. Fine. Activate. Whatever. So they send you stuff, but do they show you what you look like and things beforehand?
Maybe not. Maybe it wasn't them. Was it Amazon that was doing? There was somebody.
I don't know, but this is pretty cool.
I saw this. Yeah, I think this is good use of AI.
Yes, finally.
So because here's the thing: a lot of people don't realize that the cost of return shipping for returned item is starting to go through the roof for a lot of retailers. And if you can find a way to minimize the number of returns, or someone having to order 4 items in 2 different sizes only to return 7 of them.
Right.
If you can do stuff to minimize that, because
so you think this could identify your size?
I think it could as well.
Interesting.
I think here's the thing. You can put in measurements. Right? Like if you do this, not only a picture of yourself, but
put in your measurements.
So
neck
not
size,
only a measurement,
waist size.
Right? So if you just put your waist size and your inseam, just those 2 data points are enough to give you an idea of how pants fit.
I will bet you 90% of people don't know what the inseam is.
Well,
they know what the waist size is. They have no clue what the inseam is.
Measure from here to here, right?
How long are your legs?
Yes. The same thing, like men's shirt has always been measured in chest and neck.
No, I'll bet you, I'll bet you the software can do it. I'll bet you the software could, because I
bet you can get close.
A couple years ago, not even a couple, probably 5 or 6 years ago, when they started the whole see this item in your room type thing with furniture, it used to be okay. Now it's like perfect.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they know your room measurements. They know the size of your they've got it down with the software. They probably can do the same thing with the human body.
That wouldn't surprise me at all, right? So yeah, I like something like this where
this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You
can go through. It's like it's an AI Stitch Fix that actually shows you what you might look like in the outfit.
That's pretty much what it is, right? Because and it goes beyond that too. I think not only, and I like the idea of of it learning your preferences and suggesting things, I think is the big thing, right?
Yep.
Because a lot of times it's hard to say not just what will I look like in that, but what do I even want to try? What do I want to find? Like, oh, okay, I can go online and see different things that I might want to try on, shirts, pants, whatever. But it would be great if it said, here's what would look good on you.
Yeah. And it's funny because like my wife is South American, right? So they always come up with these ideas for like family photos. Is like, we should all wear matching shirts. And then they come back with a salmon colored shirt. And I'm like, do you know how I look in a salmon colored shirt? Because it's not pretty. Like you can't tell where my face begins and the shirt ends.
Right.
Right. But it looks good on them. Same thing. If I wear a black shirt, looks great on me, doesn't necessarily look as good on them. And then we get to the brown colors. That makes me look orange. Right. Like, so like, I get what you're saying is if this gives you a idea of how you're going to look in something, it starts learning what colors you like. It can even contrast skin tone with clothing.
Right, exactly.
There's so much it can do if you really want to get into the nitty gritty stuff.
Because I think, and like most people, I have no style sense whatsoever. I just don't. The funny thing is I did when I was a kid. When I was younger in high school, I had great style sense. Now I have none. I don't know why.
You just wear slacks and a shirt.
Well, because I'm an attorney.
90% of the time that I see you, you are dressed exactly like that.
Well, because I'm an attorney. I kind of it's kind of the thing I have to do, right?
I get it.
I don't even own a pair of jeans anymore. But so point being, while yes, it'd be nice for it to learn my style is very vanilla. I would like for it to say, go try this. Very, very different than what you're used to.
I want to try the emo look.
Like,
no, I'm saying just like
I look like Uncle Fester when I black my eyes out.
No, but you could say like, how would you like to experiment?
Yeah,
I'd like to try a grunge look, a rock look, a modern look, like whatever. Yeah. And it starts putting together suggested clothing that would go with that.
Right.
More preppy, more like whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly. That would be kind of cool. That would be really neat because because part of the problem with, I'll use me as an example. Part of the problem, I mean, I don't care, but let's say part of the problem with somebody trying something very different is they're afraid it might not look good. And they don't want to go and buy the things. No one goes to the mall anymore to buy clothing or anything. They order it online. So they're afraid, I'm going to buy it. I'm not going to like it, blah, blah, blah. Well, now you get to see what it looks like beforehand.
Yeah, you get an idea at least.
Yeah. Right. Which I think is pretty cool.
I like this.
Yeah, this idea is definitely neat. The software is, it's, even though it's obviously using AI, the software's got to be pretty good behind something like this.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, we designed something like this for sheds.
How so?
Years ago.
Like seeing a shed in your backyard?
Yeah. So, well, you wouldn't be able to see the shed exactly in your backyard, but we did a shed customizer.
Oh, okay.
So, like you could add windows.
Gotcha.
You could change the color of the roof.
Yeah.
You could change the color of the doors. You could change the door size. You could make it a single door, a double door.
That'd be neat.
So, yeah, I mean, so we pioneered this kind of for a local shed company, and he gathered other shed companies around the US were literally sending people to his site. Like, and it got so popular that one of the shed manufacturers actually copied it and started giving it to the dealers. No, it was a good thing. Like it was costly to maintain and all that stuff and really only had one function. It was great for him because like his website traffic was through the roof.
Sure.
But it didn't necessarily lead to more sales for him. But like it was kind of cool how something that we thought was relatively simple started getting adopted widely throughout an entire industry. And I think like, I don't want to say it, but like this is something Amazon would buy. Like they would find this as a startup and go, oh my God, this could save us millions of dollars in returned packages. Macy's, any of these clothing companies would go like, oh my God, if this cuts back on 50% of the returns we get.
Right. How much money that saves?
People have no idea. Right? Like we're talking billions probably a year just in shipping costs.
So yeah, really cool idea. The comments seem to like the idea as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to check this out actually personally. I'm going to check this out later on. Download it
And
to my
like
phone.
it doesn't even bother me that it's one dimensional, that you're only seeing one view
for now.
For now. Like eventually this will
go 3D at some point.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The problem is going to be getting a 3D picture of yourself in there. I mean, you have to walk. Someone's going to have to walk around you.
Yeah.
But no, this is kind of cool. I'm going to check this out later on today. All right. So, Anger Vision, cool. Cool idea. I like it. I like it quite a bit.
I do too. And I think this is not only is this a cool thing to get into, but I think there's going to be very easy to find an exit strategy for this one as well.
Yeah.
And that's another thing we haven't ever talked about is
exit strategies. We'll do a show on those one day.
We should.
Yeah, there's three phases of business: startup, running, and then exit.
Yep.
And I should say ramp up, starting, ramp up, and exit. And then exit is probably just as important as startup.
Yeah.
People don't realize.
And we should talk about it. Even though we were called Start It or Scrap It, we should probably also talk about exit at some point.
Yeah.
Just in case.
We'll do that one of these times. All right, I think that's it for today. We only did a couple of questions, but that's okay.
We did the important part,
I know,
and then we
got our PSA out today.
Yeah, and we got the medical record one. I'm going to be thinking about that one for a while.
I am too. It's going to bother me. It's going to really bother me because I'm sure there's a way to do it.
I'm going to go see if it actually exists where I can log into my medical providers and automatically pull the data. Because that's what I want.
I don't think that exists.
I would pay for that. Yeah. I am telling you right now, take my money, $10 a month, $15 a month. I don't care. If I could log in once to all my medical providers, and now I just have an app, and I can click on my ENT, view latest visit, boom, perfect.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
All right.
My MRI.
With that, yes. See you next week.
See you next week.
All right, buddy.